Juventus Monza Coppa Italia later today is not a simple football game. We can easily describe it as a historical moment in that new era of Juventus, the first official game under the new presidency of Gianluca Ferrero, appointed yesterday in that shareholders meeting. This video is important. I'm speaking to you. If you want to know about the future of Juventus, that new era, what is it? If you are worried about the future of Juventus, listen to it, because we will go through the words of Pavel Nedved, Andrea Agnelli, Gianluca Ferrero and Maurizio Scanavino. Important things that probably yesterday were not highlighted enough in what I was reading online, in the transcription of this long meeting of yesterday. Well, I will try to do a beautiful recap with going to the real essential words. So if you want to know, if you are a Juventino, but also if you are not a Juventino, but you are curious about the future of our beloved Juventus, put a maximum of likes, subscribe to the channel, we go. Ciao Juventini of the world, my name is Giuseppe, welcome back on the channel. I hope you're all doing well. Guys, I want to start with something that looks casuality, looks totally random, but it is not. World is made perfectly well. It totally makes sense if you are thinking about it. Today is the birthday of this man here, Claudio Marchisio. Happy birthday to Claudio. Why is it not random that today, the 19th of January, is the birthday of Claudio, Il Principino? Because yesterday in that shareholders meeting, Andrea Agnelli and also Maurizio Scanavino, they highlighted, both of them, how important the project of Next Gen was, but also all the youth academy. Maurizio Scanavino, he said strategic and extraordinary. Agnelli said that in 5 to 8 years, 50 to 60% of the first team would be made about this team. Well, who better today, the 19th of January, to start day one of that new era of Juventus than Marchisio, the one that grew up as a kid with Juventus, arriving in that first team and actually considered by the most, and also by myself, one of the icons, one of the legends of the Bianconeri, of La Vecchia Signora. Happy birthday, Claudio Marchisio. I'm sure it was absolutely not casuality. Guys, we have to speak about Milan and Inter. Yesterday they played Super Coppa. You all know the result, 3-0 for the Nerazzurri. Corriere dello Sport is saying Re di Coppe, the king of cups, 4-on-4 for Simone Inzaghi. Gazzetta dello Sport is going with Super Inter, and if I watched the game yesterday, I can tell you, yes, they were super. It hurts, it is what it is, but it is the truth. They were super. Also, we have to say that Milan was a total disaster. Pioli on fire? Well, I don't know, because yesterday it was a total disaster. Milanisti that after the World Cup, since the beginning of 2023, are really in difficulty. Enough speaking about that. Congratulations to the winners. Even if I'm here, I'm jealous. Why? Because Juventus should always play that Super Coppa. Why? Because that means that we won at least one trophy in Italy, or the Scudetto or the Coppa Italia. And I want to be there. If it will be difficult to win the Scudetto this year, let's start tonight already with the Coppa Italia game, winning versus Monza. Pay attention, we lost. If you want to know a bit more, just the predicted lineups, go immediately to the end of the video where we are going through the predicted lineups. But anyway, I'm pissed off and I want to be there, winning today, going to the final of Coppa Italia, winning it and participating to the next edition of Supercoppa. We go now to Tutto Sport. Siamo sempre la Juve. We are still Juventus, and this is really important, with a picture of Ferrero and Scanavino holding the shirt of Juventus. Ferrero with the number 1, because he's the new number 1 of Juventus. What were the words of that new Juventus of Gianluca Ferrero, president? The first thing he started, and that's a really important one, he said, my first thought are for the tifosi, for the supporters, for you, for me, for all the lovers of the Bianconeri. He said, I listened to them because I knew already that I would be officially presented as president, so I informed myself, I listened, I talked to some people that are Juventini that I know personally, but also to other people randomly, and look, they seem lost. They seem worried about the future of Juventus. He said, I guarantee you that I will give my max, my best to bring back Juventus, to respect the glorious past that we have, and also to win as much as we won in the past. Look, Gianluca Ferrero, he's honest. I don't know what he will achieve. I don't know if he will repeat what Andrea Agnelli did in all these years. 19 trophies in 13 years, the most winning president ever. He will be remembered forever in history. Don't know if Ferrero will be able to catch him. One thing is sure, yesterday when he was speaking, you clearly saw he was emotional and speaking as a supporter. So one thing that I can tell you is whatever he will do it as a supporter first. He will use his heart, but especially his brain, but also his heart, judging and taking decision for the good of Juventus. And that's a great one. He continued also speaking about the challenges of the next coming months. We know it. We will have a lot of investigation, a lot of dossier to handle. He said we have an experienced team to handle these kind of things. We are totally determined. We will respect the justice, as always, without being arrogant. But then he said, what we demand to defend Juventus, because we will defend Juventus no matter what, we demand equal respect. Why am I underlining these words, equal respect? Because how much videos did you saw from me on the channel? How many times did I say that Juventus is not treated equally on the media, on the papers, highlighting things that are absolutely not correct? Changing, manipulating the minds, because we are the most hated team in Italy, the strongest Italian football club, said by Ferrero, but also the most hated one. Well, we demand equal respect, and that shows that Juventus, they will pay attention to what people are saying about us. I'm speaking about media, journalists, about all these kind of rumors that are putting dirt on our name. It's over, guys. And that was the speech of Gianluca Ferrero. We go to Scanavino. Scanavino, that is not a supporter of Juventus, he's a supporter of Torino. We read that in Tuttosport. Who cares? Because yesterday he looks really determined, really reassuring. He was really confident, a lot of self-esteem, and really courageous to speak in front of the microphones. He knows what he wants. Attenzione, someone that already did a lot of great things in the past, not in the football world, but in business world. He said that he's already active since 2 months. He didn't wait yesterday to start meeting the people. He knows everyone already. He went to the different games, next gen, Juventus women, first team. He knows already what he's talking about. He congratulated the motivated people on the field, but also all the people working in the offices, working for Juventus in a way or to another, because he said all great, passionate and motivated team. And that's the first of everything. Then he said next gen, strategic and extraordinary project. Attenzione, because we will come back on that, on the words of Andrea Agnelli. Also a necessity, but he's saying that we have a lot of talents there, queuing and waiting gradually to arrive in the first team. The main objective, what are they for Juventus? He didn't start speaking about the sporting side or the club financially, no. He said one thing: we, as Juventus, we will work on growing that Juve fan base. How? Not by changing the supporter, by adding supporters. Because we have today a lot of supporters, but we have to add the young generations, but also the international generation. What does that mean? That Juventus will go more and more towards that English language. Juventus will go more and more in the use of social media. TikTok, did you see a small change in how Juventus is communicated on TikTok the last few days, the last few weeks? Did you already see that we have more and more players that are on the Twitch channel of Juventus that are speaking? A big change with the past. We are going closer and closer to the supporters, but that means also that Juventus is thinking globally, internationally. I have chosen the English language because there was something missing. The communication between Juventini that were unfortunately not speaking Italian. Here they are. Juventus wants to go there, and that was the first objective. Nice if you are not living in Italy. Good if you are living in Italy, because your club will become bigger and bigger and bigger on the main stage. What about the sporting and club side? Nothing changed. Juventus is Juventus and will remain Juventus, a team that is looking to win, but also a team that goes for success on the field with the financial stability. And that financial stability after COVID, and maybe even before COVID, was a bit lacking. The words of Andrea Agnelli, guys. The words of Andrea Agnelli, important, because they were the last ones as president of Juventus, but also the last ones as member of the board of Stellantis and Exor. You know that Juventus is making part of Exor as a group. He was board member of Stellantis and of Exor. He's leaving that. He's still a shareholder. Is part as the ownership of Juventus, Stellantis, Exor. But he's leaving the board. Why? Because he wants to take some days off. He wants to rest a bit, having a clear mind and going back on working on project. And probably the future of Andrea Agnelli will be the one of working against the UEFA dominance, creating a European football, something that he already started to, but we come back on that. He said that all the decision that he took in the last years, leaving ECA, is actually the head of the big clubs in Europe, leaving Federazione Italiana Gioco Calcio as the head there to speak with the clubs and so on and so on. He didn't do it for himself. He was in a luxury position because he was at head of a lot of things, deciding a lot of things. He said, I left this position to think about the common good, because we are risking to go more and more and more towards one dominance, the dominance of the Premier League. We are decreasing all our leagues, not only Serie A, but Bundesliga, La Liga, Ligue 1. All the other ones are already at the margin of the project. Well, these leagues, the 4 leagues that I told you, they will in a few years also be at the margin. You look at today transfer market in the winter, how much English Premier League is able to spend, there is a problem. In a few years' time, and we already see now the consequences, but even more in a few years' time, the other leagues will be the feeder of the Premier League that will have all the talents. They will attract all the talents. And it is a problem because the gap will be bigger and bigger and bigger. Yesterday, someone told me on the live, Beppe, do you believe that how long do you think it will take for Juventus to be a serious contender for the Champions League? Continuing like that, forget about it. But all the clubs, except a few isolated teams like Paris Saint-Germain, for example, but even Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich will have more and more and more difficulties because everything is going towards a dominance of Premier League. I am not hating Premier League. I am not hating towards them. Actually, I'm super happy about what they did because they show that a high level can be reached, and the other ones, they have to do the same. But it is impossible to do it because we are not fighting with equal weapons. Why? Because UEFA, they have absolutely no intention to listen. They have no intention to act. It is all good for them. UEFA is making the rules. UEFA is a commercial regulator. UEFA, they are the judges of the penalties that they give or they don't give. They are the gatekeeper of the competition. They have the total domination of European football. And we are risking to go towards the wall. In a few years, Serie A, Ligue 1, Bundesliga, La Liga will be the new Eredivisie. And at that time, we will probably regret that we didn't act faster. It is a risk. Hopefully in March, people that will judge the Super League project will understand that there is a dominance from UEFA and that they understand that football is not a hobby anymore, but it's a real industry. That was the speech of Andrea Agnelli yesterday, that whatever happens to Andrea Agnelli, he's left as a president, but I keep defending because I really believe that it will be more sad and sad and sad. And you can see it in the small things on YouTube. We have nothing to speak about Mercato today. There is no money to spend. We spent with Serie A totally 7 million euro in this transfer market. 120 million for Premier League. If you are going on YouTube, we can't speak about Mercato. There is nothing to speak about. If you are going to a Premier League channel, they have 4,000 people watching it. Guys, we are ending Calcio, and I'm really sad about that. One thing he said, and I finish with it, is that in 5 or 8 years, he's expecting 50-60% of the next gen team, the youth academy, to become first team players in the team of 25 players. And this is in a way really beautiful because we are working on a project that we invested in 5 years ago, and that will work. On the other side, it is out of necessity. It's an alarm that we are sending because we are not able to buy new expensive players anymore. Anyway, speaking about youth, well, today they will have a lot of chances because we are playing in Coppa Italia. If you're looking at the lineups, Juventus Monza of this evening will continue with the 3-5-2, no changes there, with Perini in the goal as usual for Coppa Italia. Tuttosport is going with Gatti, Bremer, Danilo, Sule again on that right wing, Kostic on the left, Rabiot, Paredes, Fagioli in the middle with Miretti and Keane. 3-5-1-1. I don't believe it will be that lineup. Maybe the one of Gazzetta with a 3-5-2 with Gatti, Rugani, Danilo and Perin. The four in the back are confirmed. Sule as a right wing, Miretti, Fagioli, Paredes. I'm really intrigued by that midfield. Ealing Jr. on the left, and then Chiesa and Keane on top. We have a third lineup, the one of Sky, that is actually going with the same defense, with nearly the same midfield, but instead of Chiesa, Sule as a second striker, and instead of Sule as a right winger, we have there Weston McKennie. I believe that this one will be the final one. There will not be Pogba, not be Cuadrado, not be Vlahovic, but there are some hopes to see Pogba and Vlahovic on the bench versus Atalanta, but this is something that we will continue to speak about in the next coming days. Tonight, if you want to meet me, I will be on the Twitch channel of Juventus. Join me for that game. Grazie, forza, Juve.